suffering from the fact that we don't have, again, a lot of news to talk about, and so they're focusing on some of these items and, picking on The Force Awakens because they've watched it over and over again. But again, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I think at the end of the day, The Force Awakens fits in, does the best job that they could have possibly done in fitting in an Episode 7 and having it relate to the original trilogy. And as I've said, many times, I really hope that what Rian Johnson does with Episode 8 is bring in some of that prequel. I want some prequels in my movies. I want to see that larger universe again. You've got us back in Star Wars. You've got us back in a galaxy of far, far away. Let's not forget that some 40 some odd years, right? Give or take. Well, actually, no more than that now, right? So more like 60. Is that right? Anyways, decades prior, we had a very rich, vibrant, expansive universe that we haven't seen except for the prequels. Give me some of that in Episode 8. And I think we're going to. And based off of some of the leaks and some of the style choices that we've already seen in the films, I think we're definitely going to get that. What we don't know if we're going to get is John Williams. John Williams, however, did recently say in 2 separate occasions that he wanted to do Episode 8. He's well into his 80s now. He has another composer who's been working alongside him and conductor who most people are speculating is there because eventually he will pass on sort of the mantle. I think there are plenty of composers out there who can take the place for John Williams, but it's going to be a difficult task. And I'll tell you sort of who I like. But he said he wants to do 8. The reason he said he wants to do 8 is what I find so endearing, is that he said he wants to score Episode 8 because he doesn't want anybody else writing for Rey. He doesn't want anybody else writing for Daisy Ridley. And I can understand why. Again, going back to watching that movie, it's pretty clear that the success of The Force Awakens is in large part, a huge part, because of Daisy Ridley's performance. The fact that they were able to find an individual like Daisy Ridley, who obviously is going to be a star, it's pretty amazing. She is just such an interesting and compelling character on screen and brings so many different varieties to her performances in her the way she speaks, in her facial expressions. I really couldn't tell you the last time that there was a character that really interests me as much as Rey does. The first one that pops into my mind is probably Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker in The Dark Knight. That performance, I just remember how sad it was when he passed, and then seeing that performance in the movie, that was a character that you could just watch. You just watch him. It was just so interesting. And Daisy Ridley, for me, is the same way. And I don't doubt that John Williams is sitting back going, yeah, I don't want anybody else writing for her because she's an incredibly special character. It's actually a concern that I have for Episode 8 because you wonder how much of that was J.J. Abrams and how much of that was Daisy because we haven't seen her do any other work apart from The Force Awakens so far. And so you wonder whether or not Rian Johnson is going to be able to bring that out of her again. Now, that being said, I can't tell you of a movie where there was a character in one film and then the character who reprised their role in another film and didn't do as good a job. And again, Disney's not going to go and screw this up. So my expectation would be that John Williams will probably end up scoring Episode 8. And then after that, he will probably pass it on to somebody else. I think that we would be blessed if he ended up scoring Episode 9 for a number of reasons, and not to get depressing or anything. But John Williams is heading into his 90s very soon, and so I just don't think he'll have the capability to be able to score the final one in the saga. It would be amazing if he did, and perhaps they'll have enough to work off of from Episode 7 to where they can carry that over into Episode 8. There are composers out there that I think would do a great job, and the first name that pops to mind is Michael Giacchino. He's the usual go-to guy for J.J. Abrams, for the Star Wars films, for Super 8. And Super 8 specifically, Super 8 is the one that really has elements of both Star Wars and E.T. in terms of the emotion buried in a soundtrack. That's the one, and I could really see him picking up the reins and taking over where John Williams left off. We'll find out, when it comes to Rogue One. We'll certainly find out how. Oh gosh, it's just, I know his last name is Desplat, but I can't remember his first name. But the individual that did the score for Godzilla, for Rian Johnson's other film Godzilla, is the one who's also doing the score for Rogue One, and so I think we'll get a pretty good idea of what a non-John Williams score actually ends up sounding like. But again, if you really want a taste of that, all you got to do is go back and watch Rebels or Clone Wars, especially Rebels. There's some really interesting moments in Rebels, the cartoon, in terms of the soundtrack that are really, really great. And that's not John Williams. I mean, they're using John Williams' written music and writing their own on top of it, but that gives you a good idea that you can still get that sense of romance and adventure that John Williams does so well, but through other people. But be that as it may, as it relates to the Star Wars saga, we're in sort of the twilight of the original, as many original people as possible being a part of this franchise. We've already lost Han Solo. I don't think that Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker will go beyond Episode 7, 8, 9, and we won't have John Williams either. It's really it's fascinating to think about what future generations will have for Star Wars, and how many children growing up today, their Luke Skywalker will be their Rey Kenobi. I'm kidding. Just my theory that I happen to like. It has a nice ring to it, though, right? It'll be interesting to see, like, for my boys when they get older and they get married and they have children, who ends up, is it Poe Dameron, Han Solo? Is it Rey and is it Luke Skywalker? I mean, this type of thing, Finn and Princess Leia. I don't know. But again, it's just another facet of the fandom. And when you think about what we have right now and what makes what we have right now so incredibly special. And, I mean, this goes back to what I said before. When you watch The Force Awakens, watch it. Sit down, turn the lights off, turn off all the distractions, and just watch the movie from beginning to end. I love that film. I do. I love that film so much. All right. We mentioned Rebels a moment ago. The Rebels Season 2 Blu-ray comes out on August 30th. I am absolutely looking forward to having that. I love Rebels. The Twilight of the Master, the season finale for Season 2 was just amazing, as was Siege on Lothal, the 1 hour season ender beginner, right, for the end of Season 1, the beginning of Season 2. Just absolutely spectacular. So I can't wait to get it on Blu-ray. This is the thing I noticed when I got Season 1, is that the Blu-ray is so much better to watch than the television stream. I mean, it just doesn't. It's like watching VHS compared to Blu-ray. It's just so much better, and it's just a lot prettier if I can. It's just a lot. The graphics are just so much better. If you don't have it, you're doing yourself a disservice. All right, one more quick comment. I just want to mention Rogue One. We really don't have anything new. Mads Mikkelsen, who plays Jin, Felicity Jones's father in the film, and we think that he is the individual who's actually in charge of making the Death Star function. He's come out in defense of Gareth Edwards as of late and calling these reshoots really nothing. They were pre-planned. We discussed that at length in episode 53.1. And he really has just come out and said, look, it's much ado about nothing. Don't worry about it, guys. We got this. And also there was an interview that came out, and I don't have time to get to it on today's podcast, but the character that Ben Mendelsohn plays, keeping it secret, we believe his name is Director Krennic. He's still keeping it secret. He's made his first American talk show appearance on Jimmy Kimmel, talked about how hard it was to keep his role in Rogue One a secret and how he still can't say anything. But let me just leave you with this as it relates to Rogue One and those reshoots. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the podcast in talking about respecting the art. These guys are artists, and they want to get it right. It's not going to be enough, and this is what's so great for us as Star Wars fans. It's not, you're not going to have a situation like Fantastic Four where the studio's just going to release it to get it out there because they know they can cut their losses because it's not a great film. I actually enjoyed Fantastic Four, but it wasn't a great movie. Disney and Lucasfilm can't afford to do that. It can't be good. It can't even be great. It needs to be special. So I think that's what these reshoots are about. They're about going back and making Rogue One special. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry I was not around for episode 54 last week. I will be back next week. Again, if you'd like to drop me an email, talkshownerd@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter @JohnJustice. Subscribe on iTunes. Get the podcast whenever they pop up right to your phone. I'm going to continue to enjoy my bottle of wine and probably go watch Weird Science with my soon-to-be 14-year-old who's acting like an 18-year-old, and I'm annoyed with him, but I love him nonetheless. So enjoy the rest of your week, and may the Force be with you always.